Scanning. Identity authorized. Welcome to the Secret Superhero Club Podcast Network.
Welcome everybody to the Animation Station Podcast, episode 190. My name is Josh, and today we have a very special guest. We have an actor, voice actor, probably the closest we're ever going to get to Raul Cooley. It is Mr. Adrian Petriw. How you doing, Adrian?
Good, man. How you doing?
Not bad. So yeah, you're the closest that we're gonna get to Raul. So, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, I can be that for you.
Yeah.
Nice.
So Adrian, if you wouldn't mind, just for people that may not be familiar with your work, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, sure. I am an actor slash voice actor slash meat popsicle, and I have I've done over the years. If we want to talk voiceover, I was the voice of Tony Stark in Iron Man Armored Adventures, Shu in Beyblade, Commander Gren in Dragon Prince, Adam in The Hollow. What else? Lego Jurassic, Ninjago, lots of Slugterra. There's going to be a lot of things I forget. Yeah. I'm not going to list my whole resume, but there you go. And then in film, I've had the pleasure of having some fun on Legends of Tomorrow and Van Helsing and all sorts of fun stuff. But yeah, that's me.
Mm-hmm. And you're located in Vancouver, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so I had Jesse and Raquel on yesterday to do a Dragon Prince episode. So how close is where you live in Vancouver to what goes on in Letterkenny?
Pretty far, I think. Pretty far. We're in yuppie town here in Vancouver.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah, so this is where all the yuppies live, and yeah, Letterkenny is. Is that the image of Canada now abroad?
Yes, basically yes. Like it's one of those like did you ever watch King of the Hill?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so yeah, so it's one of those like that's what a lot of people think Texas is.
Right.
Yeah, it's like nah, that's like nothing like Texas. It's
Oh, really?
I'm from Oklahoma, so like we're just like we're 30 minutes from like the capital in Dallas.
Right.
Obviously not 30 minutes, 3 hours. That would be even insane. But yeah, so I mean, we're not that far from the middle of Texas. And right. It's one of those like, so I spent a lot of time in Texas growing up. And it's always one of those things where it's like people that'll watch King of the Hill and be like, oh yeah, that's what like this, like Texas and Oklahoma, New Mexico, like that southern area, that's what that is. It's right. Just like King of the Hill. And it's like, no, not really. That's definitely a caricature of what that is. But one of my friends in Austin, Tony, he actually, introduced me to Letterkenny, and I was just like, oh, this is great. Like, this is what I want all Canadians to be like.
Yeah, totally. And before Letterkenny, it was Trailer Park Boys.
Yep, Trailer Park Boys.
Mm-hmm. Both hilarious shows, by the way. I love them. But yeah, no, unfortunately in Vancouver, we're, we tend to like our Starbucks and our Lululemon that's a whole bunch of people are going to hate that I just said that. That's not totally true. But if we're talking stereotypes, yeah, we're very West Coast. We're the California of Canada.
Nice. Do you guys have plastic straws?
They're going the way of the dodo.
Oh man. Yeah, we're getting rid of plastic straws because of turtles.
Yeah, which you know what? I love turtles are my favorite animal. So like if there's anything I can get behind, it's let's get the straws out of the turtles.
I mean, we can also educate the turtles not to use the straws.
I'm also wondering, okay, what are they doing with the straws up their nose? Are they doing lines? Like, what's the?
I think there's probably like there's got to be some sort of like what's like the cocaine of the sea? Is that like krill? Is that what that is?
Yeah, and I just feel like maybe we do need to ask a few. We're giving. A little too much of the benefit of the doubt to the turtles, but no, I take that back. Turtles are amazing, and we must protect them.
I agree. Protect them, turtles. So Adrian, let's kind of get into it. So, well, first off, let's deep dive it here. What were you like growing up? Like, were you watching anything good? Like, were you an outside player? Were you an inside player? What was little Adrian like? Did you have like PF Flyers like running around?
I was born on a stormy Wednesday in Toronto. No, we're not going to go that far back. But as a kid, I was a jovial kid. I was outgoing. I was terrible at sports, although I did like being outside. But I was never, and to this day, I'm just not really skilled with any sort of a sport. But I loved my cartoons. Surprise, surprise. And movies in general. I'm a cinephile. As a kid, I just loved watching movies. So, obviously when I was really little, it was all the Disney classics and that. But Star Wars, I stick the VHS in, a couple times a week, and I would just sit there and just with my jaw on the floor. And that's pre-special edition I'm talking here. I'm talking
the good ones. Yeah, the ones that had what was it? Was it the one with it was either like Ebert or Roper, and they were like interviewing George Lucas at the beginning of the VHS. Yeah, I had those.
Yeah, it was the the THX re-release. Yeah, that's and I think they just remastered it, but they didn't add anything yet. But anyway, so I was all about Star Wars, and I had the one thing I can say about myself for sure is that I just had a real imagination. I love to play and role play, and sometimes I'd wake up and I would take on a role for that whole day. So it'd say talking Star Wars, rather than just say, oh, I'm Luke Skywalker. I would make up my own character name, and this is like essentially role playing, but I didn't know what role playing was at the time. And the whole day, I would look at the whole day through the lens of this character, like I'm a rebel spy. And if we're at the grocery store with my mom, I'd be like looking over the fruit to see if there's any stormtroopers, coming down on me or whatever. So I was super imaginative as a kid, and that was my thing, man. And actually, on that note, I remember a story my mom used to always tell me was that I think it was in kindergarten. The teachers actually pulled my mom in after class one day and said, we're really concerned. All Adrian talks about is movies. All he talks about is movies and TV and cartoons, and we think he watches too much, and we think that you should stop that, and he needs to whatever it was that they suggested. And luckily my mom didn't listen to that at all. And she had encouraged me from a very young age. So yeah.
Nice. So what were you watching? What was little Adrian watching?
I would
let's go like what were your favorite movies, like favorite TV shows growing up?
Okay. Yeah.
Because we're in that same age area, I believe.
Yeah.
So I mean, it should be a little bit. I mean, regionally we'll have different stuff, but I think we should still be really close together.
Yeah. So cartoon wise, Batman the Animated Series, that was like a seminal cartoon for me. I remember the day it premiered. It blew my damn mind, and still does. X-Men the Animated Series from the 90s, the Spider-Man animated series from the 90s. I've got two brothers who are 7 and 8 years older than me, so I was exposed to all the 80s greats too, like G.I. Joe and Transformers and all of that stuff. So those were my primary, and Reboot. When Reboot came out, I remember crapping my pants thinking, oh my God, this is the greatest like visual thing I've ever seen in my life. And then movie wise, it was Star Wars. It was James Bond. Specifically, we had a couple of the Sean Connery ones on VHS. So like Thunderball, watched Thunderball a lot, and Indiana Jones. And most of these I didn't actually own. They were all taped off of the Super Channel, so they were all like pirated. So we just had a big pile of pirated.
But we didn't call it pirating back then.
No, of course
it was
not.
just, I just taped it.
Yeah, it was on TV, and I just put it on a tape. And then it was great because like the movie would always start like halfway through something else that was on the tape before, So that was always the fun of that era. But But yeah, I think as kind of stereotypically as a kid that age, it was all those 80s Spielberg films and the Bonds and that kind of thing.
Nice. What about now? Well, what you peeping now?
What am I peeping now? Since my son was born, it's hard to keep up. There's just so much content, like it's overwhelming. So I'm really behind. I'm catching up on Peaky Blinders right now, which I've been absolutely loving. Mandalorian, of course, as a Star Wars fan, I'm always up to date on my Star Wars. So Mandalorian, I'm enjoying.
What did you think about that last episode? Spoilers for episode 4 of The Mandalorian. Who cares? But yeah, I mean, what did you think? Like, it was like I kind of wanted a little bit more because it was Seven Samurai, and I love Seven Samurai.
Yeah, I think it was Seven Samurai. It was a tribute to Seven Samurai, and if I have any complaints, it's just that it was a bit rushed. I think it's because of the length of the episodes.
Yeah, I think if it would have been like 2 to 3 episodes, I think it would have been really, really good.
Yeah, I think they probably banked on us all kind of knowing the trope of the, like we've seen this story so many times that it was kind of an assumption of like, well, we don't need to spend, half an episode showing the villagers training and stuff. We can just kind of jump ahead. They know what they're doing now. And, it doesn't land quite as well as when you take your time with that, I think. But I like the two, the two villagers, who go and find the Mandalorian in the episode are a tribute to, I forget their names, but the two guys from Seven Samurai
I know who you're talking about. God dang it.
They were the inspiration for 3PO and R2-D2 when George Lucas was writing the original. So anyways, I thought that was kind of neat. And I love me my Baby Yoda.
Oh, yeah, everybody loves Baby Yoda. I mean, everybody but me.
No!
Like, here's the thing. Me growing up, like, I read a lot of the books that is no longer canon.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I loved, like, the non-Force users.
Me too.
And like that's why like Mandalorian was like, sweet, he doesn't know the Force. We're not even talking about it. And then Baby Yoda comes and uses the Force, and I'm just like, no more Force, no more.
Actually, why I really liked Rogue One.
Yes,
because I loved that stuff too. I loved even in the old video games and stuff like that. I always liked seeing the lived in sort of corners of the galaxy that the heroes are not strutting around in, that these are regular people trying to survive.
I'm also kind of a fan of like the stormtroopers and stuff. Like reading about like the clone troopers and everything, because when episode 2 came out, like all of those clone trooper books came out, and so like my favorite is like the Republic Commandos, and like it's just all basically these dudes, like just all commandos. Like there's a Jedi later who one of them falls in love with, but it's very like not Jedi. It's very like these are just like trained soldiers going through and doing the war. And I'm like, man, it's so good.
Yeah, there was a series of books I remember in the early 90s. It was like the X-Wing series, I think.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and that was awesome because that was like Wedge and that kind of stuff, and that followed. And like you're saying, like you're following like pilots, in this war, as opposed to, all everybody's related and everybody can use the Force thing.
Yeah, and that Bounty Hunter trilogy that they came out with was really like the Star Wars Bounty Hunters, where it was like, this is how Boba Fett escaped the Sarlacc pit. Just like stuff like that. And we're like, yeah, there's no Jedi at all anywhere mentioned here. And it's just like, yeah, this is just Boba Fett trying to get revenge on all these other bounty hunters that have started swooping in and, disparaging his name and everything since he was killed. And I'm like, man, that type of stuff I love.
Yeah. I'm hoping the Cassian Andor series that they're working on, the Rogue One prequel series. I'm hoping that can kind of stay in the realm of like the film was that.
Same. Yeah, I would love that.
We are nerds.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. That's a good thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So growing up, you were very into the TVs and movies and everything. So when did that kind of transition into acting?
So it's a bit of a like superhero origin story of a story, but I'll make it short.
I mean, I got all day. I mean, you can go ahead.
Yeah. My family, we had a trailable sailboat when I was a kid, and we went sailing out of English Bay, which is the big bay in Vancouver. And at English Bay, in a park there, there is a thing called Bard on the Beach, which is a Shakespeare festival, and they have these huge tents, almost like Cirque du Soleil, and they have a whole season of Shakespeare through the summer that you go and see, and it's been a staple in Vancouver since the early '90s. And it just so happens the boat launch was right next to there, and we were coming back from a day of sailing. I'm 8 years old, and because it's the '90s, no one cares where I am, so I just wander off. And I ended up wandering into the green room tent of Bard on the Beach during a performance of Hamlet. And so I went back and I saw, these swords on the wall and these, actors sitting in makeup wearing these elaborate costumes, and there's armor, and I was just like, oh my God, this is a gold mine. Like, what did I just stumble on? And I remember the actor was about to go on stage, was playing, the ghost of Hamlet's father. Mm-hmm. And he's wearing all this heavy armor, and he's made up to look dead. He's got this pale skin and this big white beard. And I remember him going up the back steps backstage onto the stage. And it's just, it was just so atmospheric. It was incredible. I wanted to be a part of it. And then the guy who owns Bard on the Beach, someone alerted him, probably one of the actors, to my presence, and he came and, oh, hello, young man, let's find your family. And he walked me over to my family, and he thought he was actually rather bemused by the fact that I was there, so he offered my family tickets for the following night to come and see the play if I wanted to see it. And I was like, hell yeah. So we went as a family, and we saw Hamlet, and I was just like completely enthralled. Like, it's also where Bard on the Beach is in Vancouver. Like the back of the tent is open, and it's the backdrop of all of our North Shore mountains, which, if you've been to Vancouver or seen pictures, like, it's really majestic. And so it's at sunset with this incredible, beautiful stage in front of you and everything. Like, it completely changed my DNA that night. And I remember making the decision that night that's what I wanted to do with my life. And so from then on, they had a little like summer camp there where they teach kids to learn Shakespeare and stuff like that. And so my parents signed me up for that, and I loved it. And I did that for many years. And then eventually through that, some of my instructors said, you could do this professionally. And they helped me find my first agent, and then it kind of all sort of slowly started from there.
Nice. Oh, man, that's awesome. It makes me wish, like, man, I wish I would have grown up in a place where, like, because it's Oklahoma and there's nothing. Like, yeah. That's it. I'm like, man, I wish I would have grown up on one of the coasts. It would have been so much better. I wouldn't have gotten a start to everything so late.
True, but you know what? Luke Skywalker, man, he was in the middle of the Dune Sea, and then look what he became, right? So
but he at least got to go to Tashi Station to do, pick up power converters and stuff, man.
You guys don't even have a Tashi Station? Oh man, I think the Tashi Station was the equivalent of like their 7-Eleven.
Probably. It's like, I gotta go get some batteries at 7-Eleven.
Yeah,
spend $8 on a thing of batteries.
Yeah, just as something to do.
Now I want that series. I want like Star Wars, like in like
it'd be Clerks
in Ohio or something.
Totally, yeah.
Oh man, yeah. So did you? So you took, so your basically classes were all like in the theater, pretty much.
Yeah, so I started all theatrically, and the funny thing about that is that was a problem when I started to try to do film work, because all this theatricality was like, they're like, no, you have to do less. And it was really kind of, I felt it really was kind of I don't know. It was taking the fun out of it. Like I didn't enjoy film at first. It felt like, well, this isn't what I signed up to do. Um, and it was a bit of a rough start for me into trying to audition for film work. And then I booked a large role on a show up here in Canada called Edgemont. It was like a high school show, and I booked a pretty big role for the time. It was a recurring role, but yeah, I didn't know how to really reconcile what I loved about acting with the highly sort of technical aspects of working on a film set, and also being so young and being on a big show. It was completely overwhelming. So like I didn't really have, and it was nobody's fault, but I was so overwhelmed, and I didn't have a great time. And it was at that time that my mom made the suggestion to me that, the agency that I was with, they have a voiceover division. What would you think of doing that? And it just kind of blown my mind because, I don't know, for me, when I was watching the Batman the Animated Series, I didn't think about who was voicing the characters. Yeah. I didn't think about, like, when I watched film, I was like, okay, those are cool. Those are actors, and I want to do that. That's cool. But it was just a given for me when I watched cartoons that, like, no, that's the Joker. Like,
exactly. That's the cartoon. Yeah. I mean, do you remember when like that first clicked to you that, there was actually people voicing these characters?
I don't know when it first clicked for sure, but like it really didn't set in until I considered voiceover as a career.
Gotcha.
Or as something to aspire to, and it really did open my eyes and kind of revisit a whole bunch of things and go, wow, like someone's doing that as their job. Like that's the best thing in the world. So then I was very lucky too, because at the time in Vancouver, I don't think there was a lot of kids my age. But at this time I'm like probably like 12 or 13, and I don't think there was a ton of kids that age voice acting in the city. So if they wanted an authentic sounding kid voice, there wasn't a whole lot of talent out there, or at least, people who had representation. So it was kind of a right place, right time kind of thing, I think, in terms of getting an agent and that. But yeah, so I signed with an agent who's still to this day my agent and friend and mentor, and he sort of helped me over the years. It was a long haul. Like there wasn't a lot of resources back then. Like now, I mean, the internet was barely a thing. So like now there's so many resources out there if you want to, learn about voice acting or what it takes or what it entails. But it was this giant mystery, and there was no classes to take. There'd be like one workshop a year that would come through town, and it was just kind of a money grab anyways. And so I would go and audition and like fail a lot. But I would listen to what casting would say. So, they wouldn't just say, very often, they wouldn't just go, okay, thank you, bye. They'd, because maybe it's because I'm young or what, but they would actually take the time to go, well, you know what, next time, your audition was very flat, so your voice sounded great, but every line had the same emotion behind it. And when you're auditioning, you want to show a really good range of emotion so that the client knows that you could handle a whole series as this character with whatever gets thrown at the character. And so like little notes like that would go like, oh my God, okay, all right, next time I got to do this and I got to work on that. And it took a couple of years, and then it was a straight to DVD movie called The Next Avengers, Heroes of Tomorrow, and I was auditioning to play young Hawkeye. And something really clicked in my head. I read the script and I felt, I remember almost getting goosebumps when I read the audition sides, and I went, man, like I know this, like this is Batman the Animated Series. This is X-Men. Like this is that this is what I would sit on the edge of my seat watching as a kid. Like I get it and I'm invested in it. I can see it in my head, like everything my character is saying, the environment, and I think theater really helped with that, all my theatrical training, and that again, that imagination was fired up, and I was so excited just to do the audition. Like it wasn't about booking the job. It was like, I get to go in front of a microphone and lay these lines down as Hawkeye. And then I ended up booking it. And that was my first animated gig.
Nice. So like we're like growing up, with that Marvel everything. Like you were like, heck yeah, I get to be Hawkeye.
Oh, totally. Although the funny thing was, at that time, when I booked Hawkeye, so I was probably about, so this is some years later. Hawkeye, I would have been about 18, I think, when I booked Hawkeye. And this is
Pre
pre
Hawkeye
Iron
being,
Man.
cool. Hawkeye's still wearing
Yeah.
that purple.
Oh yeah, Hawkeye's wearing the purple,
Mm-hmm.
and like, although in this film he wasn't, but like when I was looking up who Hawkeye was and doing all the research, I was like, man, this is a deep cut. Like this is a bargain bin superhero at that time, right? Like nobody knew, the average person on the street didn't know who Hawkeye was, or even Iron Man for that matter. Yeah, yeah.
Oh man. So you started doing a lot of these things. So doing, so because you've done a lot of on-camera work, and then you're also doing the voiceover. This is gonna be kind of a fun weird question. Which do you prefer? Do you like doing the on-camera work, or do you really like doing the voiceover more?
It's I'll tell you what the difference is that in film I love it when I love the project and the character. When I can really find something about it to sink my teeth into. Like, what's the hook? What is it about this? And sometimes it's just the project. Sometimes it's just a show that I'm just like, this show is friggin' awesome. Like, I'd play anybody. Like, I just want to be on this set. And that happens sometimes, and that's amazing. Or sometimes it's like, oh, this character, when I was on Legends of Tomorrow, I got to play a dastardly Nazi bad guy from the 30s. And being a massive Indiana Jones fan, that was like some of the most fun I've ever had on set, because I was like, oh my God, I get to be that guy. Like I get to be the snot-nosed Nazi who gets his ass
Where
kicked.
you're like, can I get my face melted off or pushed into a propeller, please? Like that would
Yeah.
be great.
Oh yeah, I got to fire a Tommy gun, and I got beaten up, and my gun got whipped out of my hand and everything. Like it was awesome. So like that is super fun. But just generally, if it's just sometimes film can be difficult if it's something you're not all that interested in, or I'm sometimes it can feel like work. It's very long days, it's very, very long days. And if you're not passionate about what you're doing there that day, then yeah, it can feel like a long day at work. Voiceover, I have always felt like, I don't know if I've ever, no, that's not true. I shouldn't say that, but that's maybe exaggerating a bit. But almost always, I love being in the booth, regardless of what the project is or what the character is. Like I love that environment, and it's a amazing bonus if it's a really cool franchise and an amazing character. But it's like, I do a lot of ads. I do a lot of commercial work, and I don't care. It can be for the most mundane product in the world, and I love being there in front of the mic delivering the dialogue.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's kind of talk about some of your current VO stuff. You've got the Hollow, which season 2 next year, right?
Yeah, 2020. I don't have an actual date.
I
But
want to say I saw something I say that, but I thought I saw something that was December 2019, but obviously that didn't happen. So
yeah. No, yeah,
I think
it's definitely
part of me thought it was one of those blurbs that they put, because sometimes like Netflix will be like, another season is coming. I thought for sure it said like 2019, like December, but now it's just another season is coming again, and I was like, oh man.
Yeah, it's definitely 2020, but I can't confirm this, but I'm pretty sure it'll be the first half of 2020.
Gotcha.
So it shouldn't be too long a haul.
So what is that like playing? Because you play Adam in that one.
Yes.
So you're definitely a different type of character.
Yeah, I liked Adam. This was one that I remember when I was auditioning for it, I really wanted to book it because he was such a hothead, and there was something about him that was like, I don't know, a young Clint Eastwood or something like that. I liked that the script had a ton of it was dire. You know, if you've watched the first season, there's a lot of great humor, there's a lot of goofy stuff, but it's very existential, and these characters are pondering their existence and whether they're dead, you know, half the time. So it was a really interesting challenge to get to play that, because in cartoons very often you have to steer clear of negative emotions. So in your performance, you know, they'll go, you got to be angry, but that's too angry. You know, you're going to scare the kids or upset the kids, or that's too sad. You're too upset. You can't go that far. You got to pull it back a little bit. And the Hollow, that wasn't the case at all. You know, they really wanted this tension. And, you know, Adam can be at times a very unlikable character, you know, and you know, he can be charming sometimes, but he can also, you know, he doesn't always listen to his friends, and he's definitely hard on Kai quite a bit. And
a bit hard on Kai, just a bit hard on Kai.
Yeah. Here I am always taking my character's side, but yeah, absolutely. You know, and normally in shows, I think they would try to avoid showing that kind of a dynamic, but that's the way it works with friends. You know, like sometimes you have a dominating personality, but you know, that often leads to trouble, right? And so it's Adam sort of goes through this journey of you know, just learning how to be a team player, and how to you know, how to be a good friend, I guess. Yeah.
And it's gonna be fun seeing what, you know, goes on in season 2. I mean, you already know, but you know, for the rest of us, kind of like where Adam is gonna go, because there's a lot of things that happen in season 1 that, you know, don't really get explored a lot. And I'm trying not to like do super spoilers for the Hollow, even though it came out a bit ago. But like there were some things that happened in season 1 that it's going to be cool if they can expand on those in season 2.
Yeah, there's the characters, definitely. What I can say very generally is there's a ton of character development, and you continue to learn about these people as they continue to learn about themselves. And narratively, this new season goes places that I've never seen a cartoon go, period. So it's going to be, I'm really excited for people to see it, because it's unlike anything I've ever done. It's quite amazing.
Nice. And let's talk about, you know, your other Netflix property that you're on that is also very popular, The Dragon Prince.
Yes. The Dragon Prince.
I will say I'm looking forward to season 4, to where hopefully you will have more than 2 scenes.
You never know, man. You never know. But with Gren, it's just like, I don't know. Sometimes 2's enough. It's just he radiates that gooey cinnamon roll energy, and you know. I know.
Yeah. It was like definitely season 1, and then, you know, season 2 you were locked away.
Yep.
And then you came back, episode 1, and then you come back episode 9.
Yep. But you know what? As an actor, it's like, of course, as an actor, you go, man, I wish I was in every single scene in every single episode. But there's so much happening in The Dragon Prince. Yeah. You know, it's such a amazing tapestry of lore and of different story threads and things like that. And you know, do I hope that Gren has more to contribute to the adventure in the future? Totally. But at the same time, I think I love what he's done. You know, I love where he's been placed in the story, and it's been very flattering to see the response from fans. There's definitely a lot of Gren love out there.
I mean, obviously. I mean, bro, you got freckles. I mean, like
he does have freckles.
So has that been, you know, interesting watching like how popular that show has become?
Yeah, not a surprise though. Like, I have to be honest, I remember, and I think a lot of the other actors have said the same. You know, my first episode, the energy in the room, the performances that were happening, all the passion on the other side of the glass from the creators, the writing, like the art that I got to see. I knew I was like this. If people don't like this, then I don't know what they like, what they're gonna like, because like this is something special. But it is very gratifying. You can never take anything for granted in this, in this line of work, because I've also been a part of great things, or things that I thought were great that didn't get a great response and then just kind of fizzled out. Right. So it was nice to have that confirmed when it came out and go, man, yes. Okay. People connected with this in the same way that we all did in the room.
Nice. So, I mean, you watched season 3, I assume.
To be honest, I'm only halfway through it. I've got it because with my.
I mean,
my
you don't come back. Your character's done. He says, knowing that you've already recorded your lines.
Yes. Sorry, was there a question?
No. Yeah, I was just gonna be like, "What'd you think about this season?" But you ruined that, so thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, no. I mean, I love what I've seen so far. I mean, what I have to say is that I absolutely love the performances of my friends and castmates. Like it's that's the thing too, is getting to watch. I don't sit in on sessions that my character's not in, right? So so much of it is a surprise when I'm watching it back, and it's like it's amazing. I've known Jesse, who plays Soren. I've known him for almost 10 years now, and we've sort of come in and out of each other's lives. We did some theater together and things like that. But then, getting to see his work on this show is just so humbling. I mean, it's just incredible. I think he's it's everybody in the cast. I'm just thinking of Jesse specifically right now, but just to see the work and the subtlety that he gives Soren, that could just so easily be this like goofball sort of character, but there's such depth to him. So it's incredible to get to kind of watch it unfold.
Nice.
Well, and that's the other thing. I can't just, I can't just like leave it streaming in the background while I eat spaghetti and like feed my son. Like I need to like clear time so I can sit and like
sit down and watch show. I mean, I love that you guys still get to like still do like an actual like in room. You guys kind of go off of each other, like, so you get all of each other's acting and energy, and that's how you guys record your dialogue. I love that you guys do that, because that's definitely something that doesn't really happen anymore. Like,
right.
Very, very rarely do you even record with somebody else in the room. And you guys, like, you get, like, the entire group together and are able to record that. And I still think that's so cool.
It is so cool. It definitely makes you elevate your game as an actor too. So like while you're working, you're connected with your scene partner, but then, there's a lot of waiting around in between scenes you're not in. And what's amazing is being in that room and having all these amazing performances happening. You're engaged the whole time. You're not just spacing out on your phone waiting for your scene. You're in it. Like it's almost like theater, and then your scene comes and you're still there. You saw what everybody else brought to the table, and you're like, hey, oh man, okay, I gotta, I want to bring it. Which is it's all, and everybody's just great too. Like it's some of us cast have gotten to travel together and do some conventions, and
yeah, you've got one coming up, SAC Anime in January, right?
That's right. Yeah. And are you going to be there?
It's 5 hours away, man.
Oh, see, I don't know. I mean,
I did go to Atlanta, so
yeah, exactly. I think it's a valid question.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I've never been to Sacramento.
Oh, there you go. Well, maybe you gotta check it out.
Maybe. I mean, I'm trying. I've got feelers out there for Vancouver too. So maybe a Bardell thing. That I'm trying to get to actually go to the studio and actually be like, hey, show me how you do things. So
that would, and I bet they would be super receptive. Bardell's amazing. Everybody there's so incredible.
I mean, like I've been to DreamWorks, which is huge, and I've been to Tycho, which is very small. Like it was basically like a house,
right?
But they produced a short that was nominated for an Oscar. So it's like, well, I mean, it doesn't really matter where you're at. Like you can produce good content no matter where. So I'm just like, you know what? I mean, I wonder how Bardell is. So yeah, so I definitely I'm working with everybody. So hopefully we can make it actually happen. Because I'm like, man, I've got a passport and I've never used it. So I want to be like, yes, I've got one stamp and it's Canada.
Canada, come on up, man. We'll have a blast.
Oh man. So Adrian, thanks so much for coming on, man.
Oh, thanks for having me, dude. It was so awesome. Yeah.
Oh, no problem. Do you have anything?
Make it easy.
Do you have anything upcoming that you want to share with everybody that you're allowed to share? Any upcoming projects?
Man, I have something that is so exciting, and I'm so excited about, and I cannot I cannot say. I know, and it's big and it's awesome, and I'm so just. When I'm allowed to say anything about it, I'm sure I will plaster it all over social media and stuff. So, so just keep an eye on my pages and things.
Speaking of social, what's your social stuff?
It's all, I think it's all just Adrian Petriw. I just make it easier for people. So it's Instagram, Twitter. It's in Adrian Petriw.
Nice. And we'll put your social media links in the show notes. So if you guys want to follow Adrian, all you have to do is just click on the show notes. We'll put all those there. You can just click on them and follow them from there. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Josh L. Kane. You can find the podcast on Instagram at Animation Station Podcast, Twitter at Animate Podcast. All of our episodes are available on iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, Google Play, our website, animationstationpodcast.com. You can also go to YouTube and type in Animation Station Podcast. We're putting up all of our episodes there as well. Adrian, again, thanks so much for coming on, man. This is really fun.
Anytime, Josh, man. I'd love to, anytime. If you want to have me back anytime, we can talk about nerd stuff.
You're welcome on whenever you want to. You want to, if something comes out and you want to, promo it, just hit me up. We'll make time.
Love it. Awesome. Thank you so much, man.
No problem. So for the Animation Station Podcast, I'm Josh.
And I'm Adrian Petriw.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
That was perfect. You didn't need any prompting, anything. I loved it.